Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Why Mental State Currently At. So this is a 4-day webinar, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the presentation. Most of it's going to be kind of video-ish today. So the question that I have on the screen is, how are you really feeling today? So when you're checking in with yourself, because we're doing the check-in tomorrow as well as Thursday, but this is a 4-day webinar, Monday all the way through Thursday. So the question is, how are you feeling today? Because I know that Juneteenth has passed as well as Father's Day. So how are you really feeling today? How are you feeling mentally? Are you okay? Are you in between? You just don't know? You're just in the middle? Are you happy, excited, lost, confused, angry, sad? What are those emotions that you're feeling today? And it's okay if you don't really know, because a lot of times you don't really know. It's like, ooh, so you're just here. That's fine. And I say that's fine because, a lot of times you may not have the answer about how you're feeling or know how you're really doing. But when you dig deep down in yourself and kind of ask yourself that question over and over again, then eventually it'll come up with an answer. But it takes time for everybody, because a lot of people may be in a state of shock or a state of disbelief or a state of disbelief or whatever situation may be. But that's some things that I wanted to share with you. So let me get to my next part of the slide. So this video I wanted to show you, hopefully you can hear the volume. It says, why and mental state currently at. Listen to this video. This video that I looked at with Lisa Ray, I looked at about 2 months ago, and it kind of gave me an insight about some things that I was personally dealing with, and kind of like, oh wow, and I didn't realize that. So as you look at this video, hopefully it play. If not, I'm gonna have to put it right there on YouTube. I think it's like a 40-minute video, but I want you to get the understanding about what's really being talked about. Most of you may have heard of Ivana Fix My Life. She has done a lot of different episodes on these different topics with different families and individuals around, and this one particularly kind of caught my eye. And there's another video that shows the grandmother, the daughter, and Lisa Ray. But the first video I want you to see, let me see. I'm going to start with this one first, and then I'm going to go up to this one because the second one is really long. But let's just give you an insight. Hopefully you can hear the volume of it. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera so you can pay attention to what is being said right here. Okay.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to come to you guys with another video and ask you if you were able to catch last night's episode of Fix My Life with Iyanla, of course, hosting Lisa Ray, her mother Miss Katie, and her daughter Kai. Now, I set my TV because I didn't want to miss this. I saw the previews online yesterday. I'm like, what is this? Now, I was going to talk about Lisa Ray and her antics in a different video, but I've actually decided to go ahead and scrap it after watching this. Because if you don't know, Lisa Ray was on her messy-ass show with her girls, Vivica A. Fox, Claudia Jordan, and Selena Johnson. And she said some stuff, basically alluding to the fact that Halle Berry was just a bad lady. Like, she was just terrible in bed. But she said that's what she heard, right? It was like secondhand information. And Halle Berry pretty much added her on Twitter and asked about me, asked my man about me. And Lisa Ray tried to pretty much clean it up. But Lisa Ray been on one for a minute. But after watching this episode last night, I decided to scrap, like I said, what I was going to say about Lisa Ray. Because it kind of explains it all last night based on what I saw. Now, I haven't been watching Fix My Life regularly the way I used to. Because there was a point in time where I felt like it was super authentic. Then I felt like, I don't know, ain't really fixing nobody's life here. But I also felt in a sense that at the end of the day, Iyanla had to make good TV. Because no matter what the issues are between whoever is on there, her job is still to make good television. Last night, I think she made good television, but I don't think that she was attempting to. I honestly think that Iyanla was on fire last night, and I think that she really was attempting to help this situation. And for a moment, forgot about this being for good TV. I do. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here. I felt like she really was trying. This was something that was so interesting to me, and it really speaks to these mother-daughter relationships and how this is happening somewhere in somebody's household today. That was on display last night. So let me just kind of break down just a quick synopsis of the episode. So Lisa Ray, as you know, she's been an actress for a minute, and she is four generations. Okay, it's Miss Katie as her mother. Lisa was an only child for her mother, right? There is so we have Miss Katie, Lisa, Kyle. Lisa's about 30 years old. We have Kai's daughter. So Lisa is the grandmother. You have four generations, and it was revealed that they're all living under the same roof. Miss Katie came out to Lisa's, but when COVID hit, she stayed. Right? She kind of got, so to speak, stuck out there. And Miss Katie, she just ain't feeling none of it. She ain't feeling nobody in the household. And you could just see how closed and bristled she was last night. Like she came in with attitude. And I'll get into that in a minute, okay? So it is revealed that there's a lot of tension in the house. And that they are constantly bickering. They're constantly at each other's necks. Because Miss Katie feels like she is not respected as the head of the family, so to speak. There's a power struggle between Miss Katie being the matriarch of the family, right? And Lisa, because it's Lisa's home. And you see that throughout the entire episode, that there is this power struggle. There's a constant power struggle. So Miss Katie's like, listen, I just stay in my room because I don't feel like being bothered. They don't listen to me. They don't want to have nothing. They just treat me a certain type of way. And, you know, Iyanla attempts to try to sort this out in the little time that she's given, because I believe that they only came for like 2 days. This required way more than that. But she attempted to kind of like just get to the root of what's going on with Miss Katie. And you can just tell that Miss Katie is full of, she's mad. She's mad. And you see it in her. And you see that, you know, as Iyanla talked to her, that the root of her anger stems back from her philandering husband. Now, I'm from Chicago. It was always kind of like out there that, you know, and I think it's public knowledge for the most part if you've ever followed Lisa, and she's talked about this a few times, that her dad he was out there. No, he was a pretty big dude here in Chicago. But he was out there. And he had many women. Okay. And when he was killed, he was still married to Lisa's mama. But he had a whole lot of women. Matter of fact, he was killed by one of his girlfriends. Okay. He also had a whole lot of money. Okay. And Miss Katie goes on to basically say how she was the seventh of 13 children, and how in the sense he was way out. She married him as kind of a way out of being, you know, in the South, picking cotton, all this other stuff. She married this man because he was her way out. He was a philanderer. Turns out he had a Roman spirit. He was out here with all these different women, right? And she stayed with him. She stayed with him through it all. It was public knowledge. It was well known that he was out here with all these different women. And there was this power struggle between Lisa's mother and Lisa. because Lisa was his little princess. That was his baby doll. That was his princess. He would give Lisa the world. He would give her everything. And you can see that there was this power struggle between Mom, who he completely disrespected, right, and treated like garbage, although she stayed, right? And there's a reason for that. So we can't, I don't want to judge her on that. There was this power struggle between the wife, who was treated like crap, and Lisa, who was treated like a princess and got everything she got. And Mom felt the type of way because Lisa knew she felt like Lisa knew about her father's cheating and his meandering ways, and that she was okay with it because it came out later in the episode that Lisa would be moved with the dad and one of his girlfriends. Okay, so it's as if Miss Katie is blaming Lisa for a lot that went down between her and her husband. Because I think, and it comes to be revealed to me, the way I look at it, is that Lisa kind of became the other woman. Like, he had a lot of women, but he treated his daughter like a wife. He treated her like a wife, and he didn't treat his own wife well. I remember this moment where it was like he would deny Lisa's mother money, and then Lisa's mother would go and Lisa go get the money. You know, that kind of stuff. You have to think about psychological what that would do. And you already know there's this strange dynamic between mothers and daughters. Now think about that and how there was some jealousy, you know, on the part of a mother to her own daughter because of how he treated his daughter, right? And how, again, this man controlled both of them with money. Lisa's mother stayed there because of money, and Lisa kind of dealt with the kind of man that her father was because of money. And that really came out last night's episode. They also talk about Kai and how when Kai was younger, 13 I believe, Lisa sent her away to like some kind of like alternative school because she was acting out and all this other stuff. And that was kind of interesting to me. That was really interesting, and that's how Lisa chose to handle her daughter in that moment and how it is now manifesting itself and how their relationship with one another. I just thought that was, I just like, wow, she sent her away to an alternative school in Iowa because, according to Kai, now I don't know if that was the full complete, but still, to send her away, that's kind of interesting. But the overall conversation last night again stemmed around Lisa and her mother and how they were both manipulated. But I was, you know, manipulated, heavy on the man, because they were both manipulated by Lisa's father, and Lisa saw him as some kind of, you know, as any girl would want to see her father, right? As the walking. Because he used his money in that sense, I think it has certainly manifested itself into how Lisa has come to have several relationships and how she, you know, got with the premier, the prime minister of Turks and Caicos, and how he had supposedly had money, how she wanted that security the way she saw in her father, and how she kept choosing certain men in that regard. So I think that was a very interesting episode. But it was sad to watch simply because I was looking at Miss Katie and thinking about the trauma that she herself has been dealing with. And in my opinion, blaming a child, I do feel like she was blaming Lisa as if it was like as if this wasn't this tug of war. Both parents were emotionally manipulating Lisa, right? They were both doing it. Her daddy wanted to play the, this is my daddy's little girl. Let me give you the world to kind of, so that you won't judge me on what I am doing to your mother. And Lisa resented her mother. If you guys remember last night, Lisa pretty much admitted to, and Miss Katie came out and said, like, she wished that it would have been me. She wished that I'm the one that, would have left this earth, in essence. And the tug of war that probably somewhere along the lines felt between her parents. Can you imagine being stuck in that position where your daddy out there doing dirt on your mama?
Oh, yeah.
Out there doing dirt on your mama. Just being foul, being wrong, being all of that.
Man, get your butt up and come and eat. Nah.
And your mom feeling the tug of staying because it is financial security for her, but also feeling like she's competing against her daughter. And both parents are tugging at this woman. And Lisa learned how to play it, right? She learned how to play it. She knew what her daddy was on. She knew what her daddy was about. Now, a lot of people always ask about the brat. I saw some people online last night. Why the brat wasn't there? I mean, first of all, Lisa is her mother's only child. The brat was by another woman. Her daddy he had a Roman spirit. So ain't no reason for the brat to be in that room. Miss Katie already didn't want Lisa there. Right, so why she didn't want Brad there as a reminder of what her husband was out here doing, that he produced another child. Again, they were still married when the man was killed. So why would the mother want that constant reminder? Right? She barely wanted Lisa in the room. So I can't say that anything was fixed last night, but I do think that Iyanla was really trying to make everybody accountable for what they were. And I just think that Miss Katie just wasn't trying to do it. Miss Katie was able to receive that message and take any kind of accountability for that. I don't think that any of them were truly ready. So it was disappointing that it was just a one-part episode. I've seen Iyanla do several part episodes. This was one of those situations where I felt like they needed more than one episode. And I gotta tell you, I don't think shit was fixed. I don't think that nothing was fixed between Lisa, her mama, and Kai. Okay, matter of fact, the reason why I think Lisa's so goddamn messy all the time is because they be in that house fighting. They be in that house arguing and cussing and fussing, and Miss Katie cussed Lisa out. Go slam her door, probably go in her room, and then Lisa go downstairs or wherever she take the show, Fox Soul, and then she already got that energy on her. She already got an attitude, so she go and inflict that bullshit on other people. How many times has Lisa come on that show, Fox Soul, and said some out of pocket shit? You're like, wait a minute, where that come from? And then now it kind of makes sense, like, well, goddamn, that Lisa's so hard because her mother is who she is. None of them have healed from that. And then now Kai got Kai in the midst of that.
Nancy, go man, get off that.
It was a big conversation.
Don't do that. Come on, man.
But I really wanted to just, for the most part, focus on what I saw last night between Lisa and her mother. Because I honestly think that her father manipulated them both. And Lisa has been trying to find her father in another man. And that's why she ended up with that Turks and Caicos dude that was out here playing her and out here stealing the folks' money down in Turks and Caicos. He was a mess. I think that's how she ended up with that kind of stuff and why she kind of presents herself in this really hard exterior. Right? I just think that she was emotionally manipulated at the time. And that don't excuse her messiness and what she's been doing out here, but it does give me an insight as to why she is the way she is. Miss Katie, she's something else, okay? She's a true Chicago woman. I can just look at her and tell. But Miss Katie is something else. And I just don't think that while I think Iyanla was on fire and she was saying she was hitting them points last night, I don't necessarily think anything has changed in that house. I just don't. I think that what Miss Katie is dealing with and the trauma of what she is dealing with and what she's feeling, that's going to take a long time and some therapy to unpack. And she just looked like she wasn't ready to receive any of that. I just think that they require some serious therapy because Miss Katie was not in the receiving mood. And there's a lot of that. Just when you look at these family relationships and these dynamics, and how, like I said, he manipulated both his wife and his daughter. His daughter was truly more like a wife than a daughter. I mean, I don't know if anybody else saw it that way, but I certainly saw that.
I'm trying to get away from her to do a high.
Sit down and eat.
Maybe
Fine, yell at me.
knowing it in a sense,
Hey,
she did know that. She kind of
E, I'm trying to do something real quick.
his wife, his actual
I hate
wife.
my PlayStation now.
Right, but again, I'm
What?
looking at the end
We
of my
did
daddy's
it.
love, my daddy's affection, my daddy's attention, and my
Really?
daddy's money. You know, and I'm resentful my mother because she don't understand any of it. So there's a lot of that.
Have no
This
time.
happens.
Just eat your food.
Everything that I know.
Miss Katie, I hope that Miss Katie gets to healing from what she's dealt with because there's a lot to unpack. That's a lot to unpack. So I understand the thing that Young should have did a two-parter, hell, a three-parter. She should have did Miss Katie first, and then Kai should have done a completely different episode because I do think that there's a lot to unpack. And that there's 4 generations of women under one roof. I'm just gonna mention that like, okay, and what that looks like, but I'm just guessing that. She got on there talking about having Mary understanding that she had just got into it, and Katie would have just slammed her door, called her, I ain't gonna and we just got on, she had started the show, she had been on Fox Soul, and she just started being this, because it's just in her spirit, and so she just wanted to like pain on somebody else. She just wanted to, she, like I said, she's done this more than once, so it kind of all makes sense now to me. But I just wanted to share that because I watched the episode, and then I watched the replay of the episode, and I just, what stuck out to me the most is that these dynamics are far more common than not when it comes to mothers and their daughters. It's just an interesting dynamic there, and it is so much hurt between Lisa and her mother. There's so much hurt in Miss Katie. She is so hard by what, and she's taking it out on her daughter. She has. She absolutely has taken it out on Lisa. And now we know why Lisa is the way she is, right? And what she seeks in other men, and what she seeks in men. She's trying to find her daddy all over again. That's a terrible thing. She should not be trying to look for her daddy. She's not like that. All right, but anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that episode. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Alright, the video you just looked at, everybody, was just kind of like her review about Ivana's Fix My Life. That's just a review about how she felt about that segment. I'm going to actually show that video tomorrow, but today I want you to kind of really listen to what's really being said in this full episode here. Like I said, this is a pretty long episode here, so that kind of tie into when we get to our next broadcast, which is on One Time Ministry on YouTube. But this is something we need to kind of think about for within ourselves and with our families, and it's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that it's kind of got to come out of the surface, unfortunately.
When it comes to personal growth and healing, there is a distinction between being finished and being complete. When you are finished, you have reached the end of your capacity to absorb things in a productive way.
What do I do about it now, Mom? Can I buy you?
You ain't got enough damn money to buy me. Lisa Ray McCoy was finished for a time. When you look at your mother, you should see what you already are.
I'm not taking it 100%. No.
Now, she has returned to complete.
I've been praying about this for a long time. I'm really open. And I'm really ready. It's time to move forward.
When you are complete, you have turned every stone, finished every task, received everything available, done all you can do, and you walk away knowing it is done.
So I'm supposed to break my neck and be when everybody else want me to be there?
You ain't present anywhere in your life. The lights are on and nobody's on. I am Yamla Van Zandt, and I am here to help you do your work. When I last saw Lisa Ray McCoy, she was hoping to mend the broken relationships with her mother and her daughter Kai. The three women were living together in Miss Lisa Ray's home, and their relationships were in crisis. But now, Miss Lisa Ray has returned on her own, and I am anxious to hear if anything has changed.
Hi, good morning. Lisa Ray McCoy. How are you?
Yeah. I'm glad that you came back.
I am too. I didn't think that I got enough. I felt some heaviness. I felt some guilt. You know, that kind of keeps you weighed down. And I'm just, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I feel it enough to go, what is all of this? Why I gotta keep this? And how do I get rid of it? I'm there to just share in a right type of way. I need to heal.
Well, I'm glad you came back for those reasons alone. Because it was very clear to me that you were finished for the time and what we were doing. You know, trying to move through with your mom and your daughter, but you weren't. No. How come Kai didn't? Because I understand you wanted her to come.
With her, it's about her time and her money. If I'm not going to receive funds for this, then, you know, my time is too valuable.
How's Mom?
She's been packing ever since we left her down here last time.
She's been packing, she hasn't left yet.
No.
We probably did this backwards. Some of the things that we can heal up are first with you. And then you'll be able to see what and why it was like that.
You know, my mom would share some things with me that made me go, wow. You know, I just didn't have a clue.
And I was just really grateful that both of you could see it. You were the other woman. Are you open to the possibility that part of the challenge you have with your daughter is the fact that in your relationship with her father, she was like the other woman, competing with you for his attention?
As a kid, I just attached myself to who I felt that gave me my way, which I knew that was my father. So I leaned towards him, you know, and I used it to my benefit. So I thought, you know, until he actually was murdered. My life had completely turned upside down. It wasn't that I had time, like there was a sickness or there was an accident, and I can say, you know, that way. Someone took his life.
So, is that something you'd be willing and ready to shed? That anger, that incompletion?
Yes.
Okay. Because if you don't do this shedding or laying down, what's going to happen in your life? What do you think?
I think I'll probably explode and leave in such a negative way that it will affect my family legacy. You know?
We got some really important work that we've got to do. All right?
You look good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to take that jacket from you, though.
I know. Before we start our work together, I want Miss Lisa Ray to understand that there is a great deal of work, hard internal work, if she is to become the true queen she is destined to be. And the work of a queen is not easy. There's your throne and your crown. But to get there, we have to sit in these valleys. I think you've been through most of them, but I think you've missed the lessons. So before you leave here, I want you up there. But the work we have to do here, the Valley of Understanding, needs to get up underneath the thing and stand in the truth of what it is. And it's going to take courage. Dr. Maya Angelou said courage is doing what you know needs to be done before you're forced to do it. And sometimes we don't do that because we go into resistance and denial and fear. And I want you to be able not to resistance and to see it when it comes up. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the valley of OPP, other people's problems, other people's purposes. That's why it's very important for you to have your purpose and intent clear about everything. so that you can reach a level of success. Not out here, baby. In here. Right now,
Yeah.
my job is to take you through those valleys and put you in that throne.
Now, okay.
Come with me. So we gonna sit right here in this valley. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was I was ready to crown you, throne you, shawl you, but that didn't work. Do you know why it didn't work? Why we didn't get there?
You said that we was a mess. We don't feel. We think too much.
The greatest thing for me was the depth and level of resistance that I experienced from you. You know what I see here? A wall. You know what I feel? Nothing. I know it's in there, but you are so rehearsed in your responses.
What you see and what you hear of the rehearsed is me searching for how I feel.
But let me tell you how you're speaking betrays you. I have to think about what I'm feeling. That right there is a problem. As long as you're processing in your head and not in your body, you're never going to get to the feeling. So I'm glad to hear you say you want to shed. I'm very aware that recently you had a kind of a public breakdown with your sister, the brat. Yeah? And I know from you being here that you are in breakdown with your mother and your daughter.
Before we came here, I was walking on eggshells just because I was like, I don't want to go off on nobody before we get down there because she may be able to tell me something to be able to deal with it.
Why?
So I'm going to be okay. Because when I get there, then everybody done piss me off, and then now the whole house is going to be rocked. The relationships that I have right now in breakdown. Why is it with you, you, and you? What does that mean?
It's not with them. The breakdown is in you. So I'm saying, okay, her daughter is who she was. Your sister is who you are. And your mother is who you're becoming. It's an internal battle, but it's uphill. All of us, we want to be at the mountaintop. And we don't get our healing at the mountaintop. We get our healing in the valleys. And that's where I want to take you. Because if we don't do it now, it's going to get bigger and uglier and more painful. Are you aware of what you just did?
I'm asking you a question.
And I'm asking you one. Since you came to see me, are you aware of what you just did? So it upset you, but not that your father had a girlfriend?
That's what.
Who you were. You were a young girl in love with her daddy, idolizing her father, excusing, tolerating, accommodating the way he dishonored and disrespected her mother. And you made excuses for it. We don't get our healing at the mountaintop. We get our healing in the valleys. That's where I want to take you. Because if we don't do it now, it's going to get bigger and uglier and more painful. So I sent you a rating scale. Can we review that together?
Sure.
So these principles are just really about some of the stuff we're going to be working with. So you had a rating scale of 1 to 5. 1 meaning I don't have none of this, 5 meaning I embody this fully. So talk to me. Where are you in patience?
4.
4. This is me most of the time, but I'm striving to do better. So you think you're patient? Okay. Courage?
4.
Wisdom?
4.
Really? Okay. Honesty?
4.
Okay. Non-judgment and forgiveness?
4.
Self-mastery?
I'm disciplined, so I up a 4.
Okay. Yep. We got lots of work to do.
Okay.
The work that I have for you is heart work. The real throne for the queen of who we are as women is our heart. So let me start right here with you. The Valley of Understanding. Tell me about your first love story. Who was the first one to break your heart?
Probably my father.
Yeah. Tell me about that love story with him.
I felt like the way that he would look at me, the way that we would, the time that we spent together. He was my number one fan. He made me feel like, what I was doing was worth something.
Let me ask you a question. How did your father end up in a wheelchair?
A robbery.
How old were you when that happened?
I think I was like maybe 8 months.
Oh, so you don't know your father other than being in
Right.
a wheelchair.
And for a long time, I didn't believe. I didn't know what I thought, but it was almost like, why you staying in that chair? Till I remember one day taking him in a wheelchair and saying, I'm gonna teach you. And I pushed him, and he fell.
Out the jail.
And that for me was like,
Well, either somebody was very negligent in their parenting or you just don't remember. If that happened, then you would be totally freaking traumatized.
I do remember though, what it meant to me was we have to not cater to him, but we have to take care of him.
So, how did he break your heart?
He had a girlfriend. The young lady that murdered him, her daughter went to the same school that I graduated from, which was like this prominent school and magnet school, And it was like, she get to go to the same school I go to. That's not your daughter.
Were he and your mom still together at that time?
Yes.
So did it upset you that he brought the daughter into your space, your territory, but not that your father had a girlfriend?
When you're a kid, you see that, you're arguing about it, but daddy's still at home, so we're good, we're family,
So what do you understand about that?
About the
Seeing something that you know is out of order and excusing it, accommodating it, tolerating it. What do you know about that now?
Yeah, I do that.
Where would that be?
With Kai.
When she
Comes forgetful.
What do you mean forget?
She'll say, oh, I didn't mean to. I just forgot.
Close your eyes for me. When Kai says she forgets, what are you acting like you don't know?
That she's forgetful.
Is that it?
I do know that she's forgetful.
When Kai says she doesn't, that she forgets, what I act like I don't know is what?
I think that's what.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm asking you. When you gave yourself a full and honesty, she tells you she forgets about stuff she don't want to do. Let's get into that, okay? Kai is the representation of who you were. And who you were younger, in love with her daddy, idolizing her father, excusing, tolerating, accommodating the way he dishonored and disrespected her mother. And you made excuses for it. Can you do that now? What is the breakdown between you and your sister? I said I find feelings for her. Y'all know. And who you were a young girl in love with her daddy, idolizing her father, excusing, tolerating, accommodating the way he dishonored and disrespected her mother. And you made excuses for it. Can you do that now? Let me ask you this. Are you disappointed?
No, you're gonna get off with some things, boy. I ain't got time to
Has
play
she
with you,
broken
baby.
your heart?
I don't care.
Has she shown up as less than you need or want her to be?
Yeah.
Just like your father, baby.
Yeah, but I still stand by. As a young child, if I'm used to this going on, I'm thinking that it's a normal thing.
No.
So
You still have a feeling about it.
yeah, but I can't go back to 6th grade and tell you I felt like,
Oh, you absolutely can.
well, then I don't know how to do that.
How you can do it most effectively is to look at your daughter and get in touch with those feelings. You break down with her because she stirs up the unresolved issues and feelings that you had from at that time. We can get into your feelings. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, take your shoes on.
For Miss Lisa Ray, getting in touch with her emotions, what she feels in her heart, is nearly impossible when she is rationalizing those feelings in her head. But I have an exercise I believe will open her. I want you to lay down so that she can get in touch with a little girl whose heart was broken so many years ago.
I'm not gonna get into it.
early in life that your vulnerability, your innocence was exploited,
You finished that hamburger?
violated. So in the valley of non-resistance, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Damn.
Just
I
relax.
was win.
Now I want Lisa Ray to be 5. Who is Lisa Ray? Lisa Ray was.
Lisa Ray was 4.
Lisa Ray was.
In love with her father.
So when did Lisa Ray get frightened?
There was a fire, a small fire, at our apartment. And my mother wasn't there. She was next door. I tried to get out the door. I couldn't. So then I ran back to my room. And then I heard my mother come. She had left some beans on the stove that had smoked up the house.
So when Lisa Ray gets frightened, there's nobody there. When did she get lonely?
When I had to share my mother
With.
the other family.
Yeah. And it made her feel.
I felt angry.
Yes. Good. Yeah.
Helpless.
Helpless. Frightened.
Mm-hmm.
Was she gonna lose Daddy? Yeah. Let it come out. Yeah. This is just old stuff coming up out the valley, okay? There's a lot of guardedness there. But again, there's just a number of breaks at all levels of your being, and how do we get them integrated together? Tell me about your husband.
Actually, he really was my father.
How so?
My husband was definitely a playboy. Had a woman over here, he was dating this person, entertaining that person.
And you are his wife. Interesting. Just like your father. Bree. So why are you upset with your sister?
My upsetness is actually my feelings hurt. When she came out to the public, I know that she's going through transition and stuff, but she have a relationship. But this particular relationship, I haven't heard anything. And when I say anything, anything. And then when they tried to surprise me at my show, I was shocked. I was surprised, shocked.
Surprise is shocked.
That she had even agreed to come on to say happy birthday. And then she said we've had some distance in our relationship. And then she said that it was like I don't even know how to be fake about this. The girls kept egging it on co-host. And then for me it was like y'all don't know. The question that I asked you was, what caused the breakdown? Or what is the breakdown with your sister? I just said, my feelings were hurt. That's my emotion, yeah. That does not sound like hurt feelings, Miss Lisa Ray. I just said it wasn't that particular time. That moment, that was anger speak. Okay, come on. I'm going to put you on the sofa and I'm going to go to my chair. I just wonder how much what happened in your relationship with your dad goes on in your relationships with other people. How about because of his behavior, everything feels like a betrayal to you? How about that? And I think you see and hear betrayal in places that it doesn't even exist. Because betrayal will make us angry first. Your mouth is saying it hurt my feelings, but that was a betrayal response. Tell me what you hear me saying. Nothing.
What happened?
I blanked it.
Yeah. And where else and how else do you do that in your life? Because that's what people get. If all your close relationships got issues, it's you, boo. The universe is trying to tell you something. And you
have to have the courage to see it. But you can see it here. OPP, other people's problems. What people's problems are present in your life right now. Your mom feels that when you made it, when Hollywood, as she said, that you weren't there for her. Your daughter feels that the moment that she really needed you, that you weren't there for her.
Oh, I've heard that. She said that when we were together. When her career kind of took the extra steps, she started to go on TV and things, and she was gone longer hours. I wasn't really listening to my mom, and I was sent to disciplinary school. I honestly don't remember what was so bad that made that decision. Honestly.
Have you ever talked to her about how it hurt you that she sent you away?
Okay. Yeah. That's all I want to know. Thank you very much.
So it's quite possible that you didn't hear it, but that's what she shared. That she felt that bad. So
I'm supposed to break my neck and be where am I supposed to be when everybody else wants me to be there?
are you aware of what you just did?
I'm asking a question.
And I'm asking you one. Since you came to see me, I'm asking the question. Are you aware of what you just did? I'm seeing the same message. And what you say to me is, so are you telling me that I'm supposed to blah, blah, blah? You take the pieces out you don't want to deal with, which is resistance, and I'm very, very clear. You ain't present anywhere in your life. And that's what people feel. But more important than not being present in your life, you ain't present for you. The lights are on and nobody's home. I'm in turmoil with the ladies in my life. And I want to know why this keeps coming up. I want to show you exactly how it happens so that you can see it, okay? But more important than not being present in your life, you ain't present for you. The lights are on and nobody's home. That's interesting.
All right, everybody. I wanted to continue to do it, but I'm gonna stop right here to kind of have a one-on-one talk. As most of you have watched like 23 minutes of this video, you kind of get an insight about what's really going on here in terms of that. And also, I'm going to show the second video. And you know why it's so important? Why do I have these things happening to me? How did it get to this point? Why is my mental state so out of tune? And where am I at right now in my current life? The why is the reason behind it. The mental is where is your head at, and the state is where you currently at. And currently means what do you currently stand in your own personal life in terms of your whys and your mental state and where you currently stand. Most people wouldn't even have an answer for none of these because they're just starting at the beginning, which is perfectly fine. Because once you start from the beginning, then you can kind of pinpoint your whys, your mental state, and where you currently stand. It comes in parts. You have the why is this going on, then you have the mental state, then you have the currently where you at. Once you go through these three categories, then you can have a better understanding on how to really pinpoint things. But it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of a lot of hard work, and definitely a lot of dedication, ladies and gentlemen. Because this is not some overnight turnaround. This is not something you can just pop in the microwave and it just kind of just spiral. It doesn't work like that. So I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to go ahead and log off and get ready to do the grief process on One Time Ministry on YouTube. I just want to come on and give you a little insight. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for mental exercise check-in with yourself. So my name is Minister Johnson. Have an amazing and a wonderful afternoon. We're going to continue to watch this video tomorrow, and I'm going to go ahead and show this video as well. All right. Have an amazing afternoon. Take care.